Why were Abraham and Sarah the smartest people in the Torah? They knew a lot. You know, his nephew, Lot, I can't even get a pity laugh. Boy, off to a great start here. The Talmud, the central corpus of Jewish law, tells us that every time the sage Rabbi taught Torah, he began with a joke. We aren't told whether his jokes were any good, but if his descendants offer any indication, we can assume they were likely middling to subpar. We Jews have a well-documented history of humor. We claim as our own Gilda Radner and Jerry Seinfeld, Sarah Silverman and Jon Stewart, Amy Schumer and Maya Rudolph, and we all know that we could go on and on and on. This evening, I want to take us back to the moment that our people's comedic tradition began, to the first laugh recorded in the Torah. Near the end of this week's Torah portion, Lech Lecha, we read, Vayipol Avraham al panav vayitzchak. And Abraham fell on his face and laughed. Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, Noah and the flood, these tales aren't exactly comedies, but still, it's pretty remarkable that it took us 3 weeks to get to this milestone, the first laugh in the Torah. So what was this hilarious joke that had Abraham rolling on the floor? Funnily enough, the joke was a lengthy monologue by God with some extravagant promises of progeny and land, a little business about adult circumcision. But most importantly, this is the punchline. As for your wife Sarai, you will not call her Sarai, but her name will be Sarah. I will bless her. Indeed, I will give you a son by her. It helps to remember that at this point in our story, Abraham and Sarah were in their 90s. Now imagine this situation. You are 99 years old. You have been hearing a voice for the past 25 of them. And now this voice tells you 2 things. You're going to circumcise yourself and every male member of your household, and then your 90-year-old wife is going to give birth to a son. Am I supposed to laugh, or am I supposed to run? Fascinatingly, it seems that geriatric parenting was the funniest thing that our ancestors could think of. In fact, Israeli author Meir Shalev observes that the idea of Abraham and Sarah raising a child in their golden years was actually the only thing that anyone laughed at in the entire Torah. At the beginning of next week's Torah portion, when Sarah herself hears that she will give birth to a son, this is her response. Vatitzchak Sarah. And Sarah laughed. And that's it for laughter in the Torah. We never hear it again. The Torah's first laugh is also its last. But this demands our attention. We Jews are known for our history of humor. Yet the most important text in our tradition is decidedly lacking in this department. So what's going on here? At the end of Lech Lecha, we find Abraham and Sarah still only at the beginning of their journey, a journey that has already included leaving their home and their family, a heavy famine, a scandalous sojourn in Egypt, a parting of the ways with their nephew Lot, a war, a tragic family drama with Hagar and Ishmael, and through it all, the ongoing sorrow of their greatest pain, Sarah's unbearable barrenness. To date, Abraham's and Sarah's lives have been this series of no laughing matters. So what changes by the end of this parsha that turns Abraham and Sarah's drama into a comedy? The answer? Their names. At the beginning of Lech Lecha, we meet Abraham as Abram and Sarah as Sarai. Now, we actually already heard Sarah's name change. It was part of God's punchline in his speech to Abraham. As for your wife Sarai, you will not call her Sarai, but Sarah will be her name. Tellingly, Abraham's name change also occurs at the beginning of this very same speech by God. Before all of that business about promises of progeny and land and adult circumcision, God tells Abraham, "You shall no longer be Abram, but Abraham shall be your name." What is the significance of these name changes? To go from Abram to Abraham and from Sarai to Sarah, God inserts the Hebrew letter He, which is part of God's own name, Yud He, Vav He, into Abraham and Sarah's names. And what's the first thing that Abraham and Sarah do with their new names? They laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Hey, hey, hey. Author Anne Lamott put it perfectly. Laughter is carbonated holiness. After all of the hardship that they had endured, God's gift to Abraham and Sarah was a spiritual soda stream. Because God understood that the only way that Abraham and Sarah would be able to stay the divine course was with an eternal supply of carbonated holiness, an ever-flowing spring of laughter. In the words of comedian Victor Borge, laughter is the shortest distance between two people, because laughter is the audible manifestation of intimacy, because laughter is the eruption of the still, small voice of God within us, fanning the flames of the divine sparks within those around us, forging our love for each other. Because laughter is the carbonated holiness that fills our spirits, that replenishes our strength, and that lifts us to carry on together through life's challenges, just like our ancestors, Abraham and Sarah. In Lech Lecha, we learn that our covenant with God is a covenant of laughter. Indeed, at the end of this week's parsha, God tells Abraham, "Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, v'karata et shmo Yitzchak, and you will call his name Yitzchak." Yitzchak, Isaac, meaning he will laugh. And I will maintain my covenant with Isaac with laughter as an everlasting covenant for his offspring to come. There it is, the origin story of Jewish humor. That's why we became a kingdom of comedians and a funny people. Because laughter is the essential link in our covenant with God and with each other. In Lech Lecha, we begin an exciting but difficult journey. And laughter is what gives us the strength to see it through together. Shabbat Shalom.